Brace yourselves, Nigeria. A bombshell has just been dropped in the political arena. Yusuf Datti, a key opposition figure, has declared that President Tinubu won't stand a chance in the 2027 elections if he's smart enough to realize it. But is this a bold prediction or wishful thinking? Could Nigeria's political landscape shift dramatically in the next few years? Let's get into it.
You insist that democracy ended in Nigeria on 29th May 2023, the day Mr. Tinubu was sworn in as president. Why do you maintain that position? And is it just chatter at the moment, given the fact that he is the legitimate president of Nigeria, or legitimately recognized as a president?
Thank you for that correction to yourself. Legitimately recognized. You see, a sworn-in government needs to be and must be consistent with the constitution of the country. And now, if I were to open the relevant sections to you that we have discussed before, they are at variance with the justice served on Nigeria. So with due respect to the justice system, it is valid to ask, did the custodians of the law do the lawful? And the answer is simply no. We do recognize that the courts have the power to do all and everything, but that all and everything must be justice. The sworn-in Tinubu-Shetima government does not strictly comply with the Nigerian constitution as it were today, so it is not out of place for any objective mind to still call it unconstitutional. Mildly, one could say it is questionably constitutional. But then here's the big rejoinder to it. 9 out of 16 Nigerian leaders did not buy INEC forms. Yet they served their terms. One of them 9 years, General Gawan, President Babangida 8 years. Nothing could, they were not consistent with the then written constitution because the constitutions were suspended. The point I'm making is that you could be a president, you could be a head of state, you could be a leader, you could be a dictator, so long as you are allowed to remain there. And the big point here is that Tinubu was allowed and is allowed to remain there, despite the efforts of people like me. You remember my efforts. I called clearly for Tinubu-Shetima not to be sworn in. And it was legal, it is legitimate up to now. Why? I gave my reasons. Then, did the Nigerian constitution have an alternative to that? Yes, of course, very constitutional. Ahmed Lawal could have served to, I think, 8th or 9th of June. And at the point of electing a new Senate president, he acts out the balance of 90 days during which a second or rerun election was to be held because Tinubu-Shetima did not satisfy the demands of the constitution to be sworn in. However, it was allowed. I tried to legitimately form what I called then the Constitutional Crisis Resolution Group. All we had to do was to take 3 documents, the Constitution, INEC results, and the options. Go to Washington, Brussels, London, Addis Ababa, on 29th, occupy Eagle Square. Tinubu will not be there today. And the beauty of stopping injustice is that it will not perpetrate itself. Bad leadership is a virus. What do viruses do? They create more, they become more and more and more. We should have stopped this before it happened, and legitimately so, constitutionally so, irrespective of the powers, the DSS, the police, you simply serve a notice. You see, the word democracy is still having a great deal to be understood. When you have a democracy, it means that at some point in time, the people will come out and be the arbiters themselves. Right now, Nigerian governments are governments because they have the army, they have the police and all those security forces surrounding and protecting them while they misrule. And the Nigerian people have no propensity to to really, really take up their government. Well, that is the meaning of democracy, that behind the Nigerian army, there is the army of the Nigerian people, whom if you transgress their constitution, they will come out against it. Well, now, bad leadership has realized the incapacity of Nigerians to come together and protect their rights. That is why I told you that if you cannot practice democracy, for God's sake, democracy is not for you. There were the hunger protests about last year also. But when you have 1,000 people doing what 1 million people should do, they will be trampled. Just one more thing.
Because there are quite a lot of things we need to get to. I mean, I appreciate your sort of laying out your position there, but hopefully if we have time, we'll return to the issue of democracy. But let's discuss the political landscape in Nigeria today, because the fact is that President Tinubu is the president, and he's been president for the last 2 years. And looking at the state of the republic, with just about a month to go before he marks 2 years in office, what do you see? How do you assess those last 2 years?
Well, complete disaster. Like I told you, they wouldn't stop the killings. They haven't stopped the killings. I didn't report it. You people reported the killings in Jos, and many before that. They will not stop the killings. They will not stop the stealing and the wasting of Nigeria's blessed resources. They cannot unite Nigeria.
But is it really fair to say that? Because if you look at the United States of America, for example, they've got a very efficient police service, very efficient justice system and so on, but people get killed and massacred every day. I mean, you could say that the government isn't stopping it, but you can't preempt every crime, can you?
I totally disagree with you. You don't have the kind of stealing in the by government officials in the
I was just talking about one specific
the insecurity,
which is insecurity.
I totally disagree with you. There has never been in recent times, in the last century, a situation where you have the kind of killings that are happening in Jos, that happen in the United States. The U.S. Army has never bombed its own people. Nigerian Army does.
Yeah, but the circumstances are different.
No, look.
I mean, Nigeria is fighting an insurgency, America isn't.
Yes, but you have all sorts of crimes and uprisings. The analogy of the example between Nigeria and United States in this particular context is not that relevant, if you see what I mean. We have a hunter that has promised us for 12 years that when they ride out the Jonathan's government, there will be automatic security come with it. There will be automatic peace come with it. The economy will improve. The whole idea behind APC was a lie, is a lie. What did we notice when Buhari came in? Aggravated corruption, like never thought before. New dimensions to insecurity that you have been reporting.
Well, I mean, I wasn't sure if you'd taken a pause there, but given that there is this kind of sepulchral silence at the moment, let me step in. And move the point to the next thing, because again, as I said, we want to get to as much as possible. You have constantly argued, and a lot of Nigerians would agree with you, that Nigeria's relative decline over the years has been due, at least in part, if not in full, to a deterioration of the rule of law and the quality of this country's institutions, a disease which has left Nigeria vulnerable to the corroding influence, as you pointed out just a minute ago, of the grabbing hand of the rapacious politician. Could it be said that the rule of law is one of the biggest challenges facing the leaders of this country?
Yes. But to make matters even simple for you, is just to put it very, very shortly, the quality of leadership in Nigeria has fallen to the ground. I'll quickly give you 2 examples. I'm not making it up. There is electronic evidence everywhere. A highly placed official of this government said, let everywhere burn. And the next day there were bombings in that state. A serving minister said, let the whole place burn. Please, go back to the 1980s. During President Babangida's time, a military governor just made a passing statement that if he were in service in 1966, he would have joined the coup. Immediately relieved of his commissioning, and that was it. Immediately. This minister who said, let the whole place burn, right now is waxing stronger and stronger and stronger in government. The Nigerian people are not calling for his head because he's too rich, he's too powerful. The president and the vice presidents are so incompetent, they are carried away by their 2027 agenda and the relationship between themselves, that they cannot call a highly placed cabinet member who says, let the whole place burn, for God's sake. Is this leadership? Is this the kind of leader he should have? He is so powerful that as I speak here, I should be concerned of what he can do and he can't do. Is this leadership or is this brigandage? Well, I'll give you another example of how bad leadership has become, the way leaders think. PeterObi gave scholarship, together with me, gave scholarship to a 17-year-old tricycle rider who returned 15 million found. And another elected official stood up and donated 250 million. $250 million, because PeterObi and I gave scholarship, thinking that money is all about it. Why wouldn't such people go and steal the resources of their country, or of their states, or of their country? Leadership has crashed. The quality has crashed.
Well, let me take
Rule of law. Rule of law means nothing.
Sure.
Now in Nigeria, justice, can be twisted to fit anything, to the extent that even when the Constitution clearly spells out the justice system can turn justice into injustice, because there is nothing the people can do. Well, you're Nigerians. The message is, look, you're Nigerians. You cannot come out. You cannot challenge. You cannot defend your democracy. So we will do what we want to do.
Right. I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but I'm very conscious of the fact that time is slipping away, and we've only got about 9 minutes or so left. I mean, we've gobbled up the first 20 minutes. But what I wanted to ask you is that you talk about leadership, and as I said, many people would agree with you that there needs to be much more upright leadership across the political spectrum in Nigeria. And one of the places that Nigeria has placed hope in for the kind of leadership that you talk about was with the Labour Party, which is your party. How much are you prepared to give vent to what must be your frustration at the internecine conflict between the factions within the Labour Party and the lack of progress in resolving that conflict? As briefly as you can, so that we can move on.
Conflict is in APC. Right now, the so-called...
Well, that's not the question, is it?
I'm answering you.
Right, okay.
Conflict is in APC, not in any other party. Why were powers not transferred to Shetima before Tinubu traveled out? Ask that question. That is what I call conflict.
Well, the question I'm asking you is that you're talking about something that would replace what you say is bad governance. And I'm saying to you, how can your party, the Labour Party, generate the kind of confidence that would make people want to vote for them when it is riven with internecine conflict?
People elect leaders, that is the individuals, not the crisis in a party. These crises, I don't like being speculative. The moment we come to where, be it PeterObi, be it another candidate that is presented, and I sure hope it's PeterObi, I'm still with him, that is presented in this party, they will elect PeterObi, and the problems of Abure and others, which are too tedious for you and I to chat here, will immediately dissipate. But real problem now is within the misruling party in Nigeria. You have a president that is out there frequently for long spells, and you have a vice here who hardly knows his left from his right, who has so many questions to answer about the desperation of politicians to get to power, about things that you and I really can finally get the liver to discuss. That is where problem is, and that's why I've told you that the quality of leadership in Nigeria has fallen to the ground. That is why anything goes. Anything absolutely.
Right. Well, let's talk about the because I'm sort of focusing on that issue of how you're going to put a party together, because I mean you have to have a party. How you're going to have to put a party together that can actually challenge the current government. Let's talk about the reports of a coalition or merger between opposition parties. Conventional wisdom seems to suggest that if the opposition doesn't merge or form such a coalition, and we can see the latest threats from the PDP governors, for example, who seem to be turning their backs on that endeavor, it leaves you all the more vulnerable against the APC and President Tinubu in 2027, doesn't it?
The last coalition that was formed, what happened afterwards? Disaster. APC is a disaster upon Nigeria. Why do you want to form another coalition?
So you don't support the coalition?
Listen, I have not finished. I'm in support of unity. I'm in support of forces coming together. So I'm in support of coalition, not the APC type of coalition. The second part of my answer to you, LabourParty was not a coalition, yet we presented credible data to the Nigerian courts that we scored over 10 million votes over and above APC.
Yeah, but some would argue that LabourParty is not the same LabourParty you've got now. You wouldn't inspire that kind of confidence in the Nigerian people.
And a better LabourParty shall we make?
Well, we have to wait and see when you make that better LabourParty.
Exactly.
Because for many people, that LabourParty has not been made yet from what they're seeing at the moment.
No, see, don't read a party before elections. You'll be looking at the wrong signals. When the candidates are presented, when they run their campaign, and when we meet at the ballot box, that is when you'll know what a party you're dealing with. And if you remember, I always wanted us, to be underestimated. Until we beat them and they immediately switched off IREV, until they wrote all the results and they changed and all that they did. The same and even better will be done.
And so what do you see now for this country going forward, especially looking at the spur, if you like, towards the 2027 general election, which you could say will be the next pivotal moment in Nigeria and the next opportunity for you to try and wrest power from the people who have it at the moment?